Manchester's finest Lerone Murphy stays undefeated after beating top featherweight contender Josh Emmett at UFC Apex this past weekend. We're going to recap this fight card next in Fighting with Friends. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Fighting with Friends. It's your boy, Brother Guy, back today with another recap. We are recapping UFC. Josh Emmett who took on Lerone Murphy this past weekend. It was a fantastic fight. Not the greatest of cards overall. There was some unfortunate matchups, some boring fights here and there, but I do think that this main event was quite entertaining. And as always, we will start at the top of the card, as always. All right, let's go to the top of the card. We saw Josh Emmett, legend in the featherweight division, fought the who's who, knockout power. The list goes on, and he took on the young prospect and the undefeated Lerone Murphy. And after this fight, he stayed undefeated. It was a back and forth fight, only because you can understand that the power of Josh Emmett was always such a massive threat. But I did believe that Lerone Murphy's skill set was going to be a bit too much. It was going to be a bit too heavy, too powerful, not too powerful, too fast, too elusive, too creative for someone like Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett is 40 years old, and I did think that this fight kind of showcased that. Look, regardless of being beaten by Lerone Murphy, I would say that you could see round 4, round 5 that Josh Emmett was still in it. His power was still there, and Lerone Murphy had to be very, very careful to survive that rounds. I think in the first few rounds, round 1, round 2, if you look at the stats on screen, I'll bring it up here. That's the total stats of the entire fight. Josh Emmett, 44 of total strikes versus Lerone Murphy's 117. 4 takedowns out of 11, but Lerone Murphy got up. And then significant total strikes, as you can see on there, 41 of Josh Emmett's 44 was significant, whereas in Lerone Murphy, 84 of those strikes was quite significant. Look, I think Lerone Murphy is a talent to watch. He's reminding me a lot of a young, what's his name? The former welterweight champ, Leon Edwards, right? But Lerone can wrestle. He can wrestle really well. Not that Leon Edwards can't wrestle, but Lerone doesn't shy away from it as the way Leon Edwards almost built his career around not being taken down because he just didn't want to go there. Whereas Murphy is not afraid of actually going there. I think the first few rounds were quite nice, cleaning out rounds, but Lerone Murphy was leading the dance. He was the one that was fainting a lot. He had Josh Emmett fainting a lot of this. He knew what Josh was going to do. Josh was going to walk him down and get his back up to the cage and then just let those hands go. But I think Lerone was very savvy to this. He was quite wise to how to defend it. He moved quite laterally a lot to navigate Josh's power. Let the jab go, let the left body kick go, fight out of both stances. And he gave Josh just a lot to sort of deal with. When you were switching those stances to southpaw, he threw a hard body kicks, hard high kicks. Josh didn't like that. When Emmett was fighting in the orthodox stance, he was chewing up that leg. The front leg was chewed up of Josh Emmett, meaning that he couldn't step down on that leg and throw his hard hits that he wanted to. And every time he stepped down, you would see Lerone just throw a hard kick to the leg again, just basically chewing up that calf, which was a beautiful technique. And then that opened up keeps, it opened up the hard left hooks, right hooks. I think Lerone just fought a perfect game plan. He didn't get to finish, but I mean, it's hard to finish someone like Josh Emmett. He's absolutely durable and ever dangerous in every round. You know that if you're going to get into exchange with him, he's probably going to take your lights out. So you have to be very confident. And Lerone kept his hands up for most of the fight. And I thought that was displayed a very good ability to game plan against an opponent, a good ability to last the 5 rounds and dictate the pace. And like I said, he didn't get to finish, but I was really impressed with the performance in totality, and that kind of sets him up for a very very good call out for the top 5. I know at the end of the fight he did call out anyone in the top 5. He didn't give a particular name, but he did say give me someone in the top 5 of the featherweight division because Josh Emmett, if my memory serves me well, he's just outside of that top 5. Let's just look at that. He's ranked number 8. So what I'm going to do now is just bring up the rankings of the featherweight division. Just give me a second. Bringing up the rankings of the featherweight division, and we can discuss who we think Lerone Murphy should be fighting next. As for Josh Emmett, I don't really want to go into it too much for Josh Emmett as to who he should be fighting next. He's 40 years old. I don't think he can make another title run. I know he wants to, but I just don't think he can. I just believe that he's going to stay in and around that number 8 to number 10 spot, and he'll defend those top contenders. I think for newer athletes as they come into the division, they could fight someone like Josh Emmett to sort of give themselves sort of a springboard to the next part of the division. Right. So for Lerone Murphy, Ilia is not the champion anymore. As we know, he vacated that title. We have Volkanovski taking on Diego Lopez for that vacant title. Max Holloway should not be ranked number 2 in the division just because he doesn't fight in this division anymore. He's now currently in lightweight. So that would leave Mavzar Evloev. Yair Rodriguez is fighting against Patricio Pitbull. That's coming up this weekend at UFC 314. Brian Ortega possibly would be a good matchup for Lerone Murphy. I think Lerone Murphy would smoke him though. So that just leaves Mavzar Evloev. I think that's a bit too high for Lerone. I think Lerone's gonna have to. He's ranked number 10 now. He beat Josh Emmett. I think any of these guys below him, Dan Ige, Calvin Cater, Bryce Mitchell, Yusuf Zal, he's not worthy of the opponents right now. So I think Lerone Murphy should either fight Arnold Allen, Brian Ortega, or Mavzar Evloev, depending on who Evloev gets next. He's probably going to wait it out to fight against either the winner between Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopez. I think Mavzar Evloev, if he's smart, he should fight Lerone Murphy next. Um, don't wait for that matchup because you could wait for the entire year. I think you should fight against Lerone Murphy, number 1 contenders matchup. Winner gets the champion between Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopez. And then obviously Yair Rodriguez, Patricio Pitbull would be the other fight to make up that round robin for the top 5 for title contention. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, please, ladies and gentlemen, we'd love to get your thoughts on that, the matchups between those featherweight contenders. But I'm gonna keep it moving on to the co-main event. Just bringing up the screen for you. Right. But yeah, give me your thoughts on that one. Love to hear it. And also don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe as always. Okay, let's go. Co-main event. Pat Sabatini took on Joe Anderson Brito. A little bit of a spectacle, but also kind of boring just because of Pat Sabatini's style. The dude came in there with this energy of the fans were going nuts about him. I know that the statistics on screen showcased an absolute beating, and it was that. I think Pat Sabatini was smart in his game plan. He realized that he didn't want to stand with Giants and Brito. Whenever they did stand, which was very small moments of the fight, you could see Johansson was actually winning those exchanges. He was jabbing a bit harder, hard low kicks. And you could see that Pat Sabatini didn't want to be there anymore. So he would instantly take down Johansson. Johansson, unfortunately, couldn't get back up to his feet for majority of the fight, which gave what's his name, Pat Sabatini a lot of control time. I think over the 3 rounds, I think he had almost 12 minutes of control time. I think it was 9 minutes over the first 2 rounds, and then in the third round, he had another 2 minutes in that third round of takedown time. So the dude was he was on top for majority of this fight, and he was strong, heavy. Not the most exciting fight, but still, I thought it was quite nice to watch. I like to see when there's such high level grappling, and we've seen fighters trying to win that chess match on the ground. We had the jiu-jitsu guy versus the wrestler guy, and you can see the wrestler guy. One thing about Pat Sabatini, his top game is very, very strong, dead weight, but he doesn't finish that enough. He doesn't go out there, and he wasn't utilizing hardcore elbows and trying to actually end Brito. He was just trying to be the bully, the stronger wrestler, and that ultimately won in the fight. Not much you can really take from it, other than that Anderson struggles with his wrestler guys. He's very good when they're standing, but once he gets taken down, he doesn't necessarily get up to his feet immediately. Pat Sabatini, strong top game, doesn't like to strike, and we kind of saw that as the overarching theme for this fight, which wasn't the most. We didn't make for the most compelling for the audiences, but it was still high level regardless. And you have to give props to Pat Sabatini for doing what he's doing, because Joe Anderson is not a slouch. Joe Anderson is the kind of fighter that he can put you away if he's on and he stands in there, But I think for Pat Sabatini, the performance isn't going to spark a lot of confidence in the UFC to go, let's give him more fights. I was quite surprised to see this fight as the co-main event, to be honest with you. But yeah, we are. But as always, gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on this matchup. I'm not going to go into who they should be fighting next. Both these guys are unranked. So for that, I and the performances that the two of them are giving me doesn't spark a lot of confidence for me to want to see them again. You know what I'm saying? So, but of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments if you think that both these athletes have done enough to give the UFC a lot of confidence to put them back on another fight card. Probably we'll see them again in the future in a lot more fight night cards, but I don't think we're going to get them on pay-per-view events. All right, let me know your thoughts on that one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to keep it moving always. to a performance of the night where we saw Cortavius Romius take on Chang Ho Lee. Keep saying in Cote d'Ivoire, but it is Cortavius. Excuse me for that. Performance of the night, I think fight of the night as well. It was highly explosive. These guys were going back and forth. Let's get those stats on screen. The fight did not go that far. It was only 2 rounds. As you can see on screen, total strikes for Cortavius was 14. Chang Ho Lee had 116, and he was just going hard pace. Look at that. 2 takedowns for Cote d'Ivoire, 2 takedowns out of 4 for Chang Ho Lee. And then obviously, as you can see, there's a lot of reversals. 1 for Cortavius and 3 for Chang Ho Lee. These guys were going back and forth. And I think the style wasn't favoring Cortavius, if I put it that way. You could see that the relentless amount of scrambles and the reversals on the ground was tiring out Cortavius. And once they got to the hands, see, he couldn't do it anymore. Chang Ho Lee was having his number, popping out that jab, being relentless, showcasing a little bit more energy than Cortavius. I would say the first time was very close. I would actually give it to Cortavius just because he was a little bit more aggressive. But it was very narrow. I think in totality, I think Chang Ho was actually a more vibrant fighter, utilizing the hammer fist, utilizing the ground and pound whenever he was on top control. I think towards the ending sequence, you could see Cortavius was just completely gassed. He had no energy to reverse anymore. Chang Ho Lee then flattened him out, got the back control, flattened out Cortavius, and let those hands go, which ultimately led to the TKO finish. Exciting performance. Definitely performance of the night for Chang Ho Lee for me. Don't know who they should be getting next. Let's actually just go to the bantamweight division where Merab Dvalishvili is the champion. So let's just bring that up on screen for you. I'm going to not use that option. Just press instead. That's easy for me to flip through the tabs. I just don't want to have the tabs on screen like that. But anyway, we have Merab Dvalishvili as the champion. Boom, there you go. Taking Sugarshon O'Malley next. I'm going to skip past the top 10 of this division because I don't think any of those opponents are worthy of it. In fact, if we actually look at the top 15, Marcus McGee, Ayman Zahabi, and Montel Jackson could be opponents for potentially Chang Ho Lee. I don't think we're going to see that. I don't think we're going to see any one of these 2 athletes fight in the top 15 just yet. I think one more fight for Chang Ho Lee before we see him take on any of these top 15 guys here, particularly the bottom 15. Marcus McGee, Ayman Zahabi, and Montel Jackson. I think Ayman Zahabi's got a matchup coming up soon, so let's see what happens there. I'll keep it moving because the card again was sparse of top-ranked talent. But okay, let me know your thoughts about that performance. Do you share the sentiment of performance of the night? I think it was a good performance for Chang Ho Lee. I'm going to keep it moving, though, to the next matchup. I know I'm flying through them. It's just because the card was not that amazing. But this fight was cool. One for the ages. Some of the old lads, a couple of old lads going down over the 3 rounds. And yeah, fantastic performance from Brad Tavares. I thought he was going to actually lose the fight. I thought he was the better boxer, but I did feel that Gerald Meerschaert was going to pick up the pace as the fight went on. Take Brad Tavares down. I know it's hard to take Brad Tavares down, but actually just overwhelm him with a lot of relentless takedowns in grappling positions, which ultimately would tie out Brad Tavares and favor Gerald Meerschaert. That would most likely be the case if they fought 10 times out of 10, but they fought this one time, and this one time Brad Tavares was on money. He was literally sharp as hell. I never seen him this sharp in a long time since the young Brad Tavares. Boxing was on point. Hard calf kicks were on point. Good deep kicks. The deep kicks were money for him because it was making Gerald not shoot in. And then the 1-2 that Brad was throwing quite often, hard jab into a straight right, landed frequently. But we know that Gerald Meerschaert's striking defense is not the greatest. And Brad Tavares landed on every time. Round 1, very competitive, but Brad was edging it. Round 2, Brad Tavares edged it as well. And then round 3 was a little bit way more equal for me, where I think Gerald Meerschaert was actually picking up the pace. Brad slowed down. Gerald was throwing more body kicks. Still ultimately lost the round, but it was more competitive. Not much you can take out of this fight because both these athletes can't really climb the ladder. They're not going to actually go and make a top 10 run. I think they're going to keep fighting outside of the top 15, keep fighting hot prospects, and maybe keep fighting each other. And I say each other, I mean like the older guys in the division. I don't see a future where Brad Tavares or Gerald Meerschaert is in the top 15 or top 10 rankings. I just can't see it. But the performance overall was fantastic because I think Brad looked really good. He looked really good. He almost threw back the clock, turned back the clock. Sorry, not threw back. He turned back the clock by showcasing some of the vibrant young Brad Tavares style of fighting. But yeah, that's just where it's it for me. I don't think it's gonna go any further than that for Brad Tavares, really. All we're gonna see is him fighting top rank, top 15, top prospects coming into that top 15 or into that UFC banner. But of course, let me know your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. I just feels weird talking about recapping this event because it's like, look at this. They could have actually put Odie Osborne up there. I think he's a not unranked. He's a what's the underrated athlete, if you ask me. But anyway, I'm gonna keep it moving to Odie Osborne. Obviously, I'm gonna end my recap of that fight between Gerald Marshall and Brad Tavares, because it's not really that much of an incentive that we can go, oh, what's gonna happen next for these guys? I think they're probably gonna have 1 or 2 more fights next each, and then we're gonna see them hang up the gloves. All right, so now we're gonna move to another fight of the night or performance of the night. I would also go and say performance of the night, because of Odie Osborne. I thought he was just a level above. This was in the flyweight division. Louis Gurule was undefeated coming into this fight. He was 10-0, and he fought well on the Dynamite Contender Series. Strong, powerful, good boxing. Made it a bit competitive in that first round against Odie Osborne, but ever so slightly competitive. You could see the different level of striking and wrestling, and just also experience in the UFC. Odie Osborne was just way ahead of him in terms of the speed, in terms of the movement, in terms of how he was moving Lewis into his position and how he wanted to strike. Fighting out to the southpaw stance meant that he could throw a lot of hard body kicks, which is what he was doing, through a hard jab. And he forced Lewis to actually make it a fight, because Lewis didn't want to fight on the outside. And I like what Michael Bisping said on commentary, was that if they stayed on the outside like that, there was absolutely no way that Lewis was going to win the fight. He was getting pieced up in every moment of the fight. He was getting outpointed every time he wanted to enter. And I think Odie Osborne just walked him down and was just moving Lewis in every way he wanted to go. Then you could see Lewis was moving to a lot more takedowns. You could see on screen there he landed 1 of the 4 takedowns. He utilized a lot of wrestling literally within that first round as well, because he realized he can't catch Odie Osborne. He can't put it on him. He can't keep up with the speed. So he just utilized a lot of takedown to get the ground and pound positions. But Odie Osborne, as good as he is, having Aljamain sitting in his corner, Alex Perez in his corner, I was like, nah, this dude is coached by some really top coaches. He was able to get back onto his feet, get back to work, utilize that speed. And you could see that he was in the flow state. You could see that he wasn't going to lose the fight. You could see that Odie Osborne knew exactly where he wanted to go and what he needed to do to get the job done. Because in the second round, he was utilizing that step back, that pull back left straight, beautiful pullback left straight, which ultimately knocked Louis Gurule down. And then Odie Osborne just jumped on it. Odie Osborne was actually going to give him mercy and like walk away. And then when he realized that Gurule was still trying to get up, jumped on him and finished up the game by utilizing a lot of ground and pound. And I like that he did that, because he actually gave what's his name, Lazy Boy Rodriguez in the fight in the Sphere. Odie Osborne had him dropped as well, but then gave him mercy and jumped on him too quickly. Didn't get the choke out, got tired, and then Lazy Boy Rodriguez ended up putting it on him and in the fight overall. I think that was a lesson for Odie Osborne in that fight, because then you could see in this fight he was like, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I do believe Odie Osborne is a fantastic fighter, elite striker. I do think that he should be ranked in this division. In fact, let's actually go to that flyweight rankings, where we see Pantoja is still the current champion, of course. So we have Brandon Royval. He's taking on, recent news coming out, he's taking on Manal Cup. Brandon Royval versus Manal Cup. Brandon Royval versus Manal Cup. Brandon Moreno recently just beat a top contender in Steve Ercik. So that leaves Amir Albazi, Kai Kara-France fighting against Alexandre Pantoja. So that would leave Tatsuro Taira. I don't know why Alex Perez is still there. He hasn't fought in a while, and he's been on a losing streak quite consistently. So it's nice to see him in the coaching corner of Odie Osborne, which then tells me that maybe Odie Osborne, that Alex Perez is maybe going to hang up the gloves, maybe not come back. And I think Odie Osborne should be in this rankings over here. I think maybe keep Odie Osborne, Kaya Sakura next. That'll be a fantastic fight to watch. And because he's not ranked, I think that's going to be the reality of it. You can fight either one of these guys. Joshua Van's got a fight coming up soon. I can't remember who the name is. But I think it's Bruno Silva. So I would say give Kai Asakura Odie Osborne. That would be a beautiful fight. Not that much of a risk to the UFC. It's good to bring Odie Osborne into the rankings. It's good to see where Kyle Sakura kind of stands, because he was brought in as this big superstar to Japan, rising, taking on the champion, lost the champion in the first round or second round it was. Now you're ranked number 15. You go from there all the way down to the 15, which kind of tells me what the UFC thinks of Kyle Sakura. So in that sense, give him Ode Osborne. I think it's a good matchup. Louis Gurule, I think he just needs to chill out, take this lick. It's his first loss of his career. Come back stronger, and then get another unranked opponent, and then we can see, maybe even give him Lazy Boy and see what happens next. But okay, good performance from Ode Osborne. I think he's on his way up at the moment. I think we're going to see a lot more of Ode Osborne, and we're going to see him actually get more ranked opponents. The UFC is going to prioritize him, because I think there's a contender in there. There's definitely a contender in there. But as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Always drop a like, share, if you enjoy this content. I'm going to keep it moving to the opening bout of the main card, where we saw another debutant and undefeated opponent in Tori Spini. He took on the tough 31 final challenger, Robert Valentin, which I think is quite a cool fighter. I'm a big fan of his style. Motives! Very good fighter. He was a bit mismatched by the power and size of Tori Spini, but Tori Spini didn't really do much. I think they should really reevaluate the fights when a fighter is wrestling you, but they're not doing anything with it. He's not passing guard. He's not switching up the position. Not landing ground and pound. Not going for submissions either. You're not dictating the fight. You're just holding this opponent here. It's not Olympic wrestling. It's a very different. This is MMA. You get scored for different things in MMA. And I do think that they should actually rework that narrative of, I'm holding you down. How are you winning the fight if I'm holding you down? Yeah, but what if the other guys actually winning the fight? What are the other guys actually doing more damage from the bottom? Because that's what Robert Valentin was doing in this fight. He was pushing for submissions. He almost landed two submissions from the bottom. He reversed the position, landed more strikes from the bottom. He reversed the position, and even when they were standing, he was a bit more aggressive. Okay, Robert Valentin sort of gave up positions where he was a bit too reckless in the third round and got taken down again. But Tori Spini didn't do anything. He just held him up against the cage and just stood there and did absolutely nothing. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how are you going to score the fight for this guy if he's not doing anything? So, poor performance from Tori Spini in his debut. Absolutely pathetic to watch. And for Robert Valentin, what can you really say? Like, he was trying to win the fight. He was doing a lot of it from the bottom. I do think they should actually score the fight in Valentin's advantage, because he was doing more. He was actually trying to win the fight. He was actually trying to hurt this guy. And I don't think Tori should go, but if this was in a street fight, I'll be winning. This is not a street fight. And even in a street fight, I think you'd be losing. I think Robert Valentin would actually break a limb. He would have gone a little bit further than just trying to reverse positions. He probably would have broken a limb of Tori Spini. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. You can see my disgust in the performance. You can see my annoyance in the result. I don't like the way it's been judged. At least when we saw Uncle Life took on Alex Pereira, Uncle Life wasn't just trying to hold the whole time on the cage. He was actually trying to get Pereira down, trying to fight through the clinch, make it a bit of a spectacle. Tori Spini didn't make anything. How do you throw fucking 17 punches in total? 17 punches over 15 minutes. 17. No, man. The UFC must rethink about this man's contract, because that's a performance that's absolutely pathetic. Robert Valentin, got to wish him the best. There's 2 losses now in the UFC. I think he's gonna have to work on being a little bit more patient with that striking. I know you wanted to get Tori Spini out there. He is the better striker. He didn't have to rush it that much. He could have been a little bit more poised, keep using those tips, and also maybe find a different way to defend the takedown. But also, Tori Spini is a buffalo. Or in English terms, he's a bull, and he's difficult to defend when it comes to that kind of takedown. So I don't blame Robert Valentin for his difficulty to get back up to his feet. But I do think that Tori Spini is not going to be a prospect in this division. I think people are going to knock a more competent and more defensive, wrestling defensive heavy fighter will sleep Torres. Will sleep him within that first round. But okay, let me know your thoughts, gentlemen. I don't want to hop on it too long. But I don't think Torres is going to be prioritized by the UFC after that kind of performance. Robert Valentin might actually get the fight sooner, because he didn't even take any damage in that fight, and he's the better fighter for me. So yeah, let's see what happens between these two athletes as we progress in the UFC. Now, I'm going to go on to a couple of honorable mentions on the fight card that I watched the whole fight. Great performance from Dione Barboza. She took on Diana Balbita, and a fantastic fight. Didn't go that long, but Diona put in a performance strong. She reminded me of a very young Amanda Nunes. Good kickboxer. hard hits, good boxing, good deep kicks, and then also she's got a jiu-jitsu world champion pedigree, black belt. She took her down, strong submission game. Yeah, just an overall masterful performance from Deon Barbosa, and yeah, I'm keen to see more of her as we progress into the future. I mean, flyweight looks good. I'm keen to see what she looks like. She looks like a prospect. But let's see what happens. I want to see what she looks like when she's fighting adversity. Then I'll make my final decision on that. But yeah, good performance from Deon Barbosa. The welterweight fight between Reese McKee versus Daniel Frunza. Good fight. Good fight. Both guys were swinging for the fences. I think Reese landed like 4-3 knockdowns within that first round. But Daniel Frunza was coming back. He was coming back strong because he used to land on Reese McKee a few times. Reese McKee's striking defense is not the greatest. So Daniel was landing on him quite frequently. And actually, the doctor didn't step in to stop the fight because of Daniel's closed eye. I think he probably would have won the fight round 6, round 2, round 3. He probably would have got the finish because Reese McKee was slowing down in that first round, was getting tired, and then started landing on him, putting on the pace. So I would love to have seen the fight go on, and I felt that Daniel would have won the fight if it had gone any longer. But doctors there to protect these fighters from taking any harder sustained damage. Daniel's eye was very badly closed, so I can understand why they stopped it. So yeah, but I am keen to see Daniel fight again. I would love to see more of him going forward. As for Reese, exciting fighter. I want him to be a little bit more competent, keep his guard up when he's taking defense, when he's stepping back and defending some boxing combinations. I want to see the hands stay here. I don't want to see them out there. Lerone Murphy did it really well against Josh Emmett. Lerone Murphy couldn't. Josh Emmett was throwing shots at Lerone, and Lerone defended most of them because he kept his guard here, tucked that chin, and then went forward with it. Reese McGee's hands are out here, right? Defending with your hands like this, like no, my friend. You can get hit, and you can get hit hard if that happens. And Daniel was putting it on him towards the end of that round. Even in the early stages of the fight, almost put this on his bum. But good performance nonetheless from both guys, and I would have to see them again fight run that fight back. Luma Lukbunmi. What can I say about this fight? Not that entertaining because Estelle Nunes didn't really do anything different. She wanted to make the fight. She wasn't utilizing the reach advantage, which was weird to see. And she kept the fight standing, which was not smart. You're fighting against a Muay Thai practitioner here. That's not a smart thing to do. And you could see Luma Lukbunmi was putting on the style. She was putting on the Muay Thai style, and you could see yesterday attacking for it, which then gave Luma Lukbunmi the unanimous decision, which was fair. Good result for her. And then, not much you can say after that. The fight card. I mean, this fight between Victor Henry and Pedro Falcao was quite entertaining. Not much else you can say after that, really. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is my time. As always, let me know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts about this fight card. I thought it was okay. My overall rating for the fight card will stay a 5, like I did it in the beginning of the preview. Nothing else made it that exciting, really. And there's a couple of fights that came off the fight card. Hideki Njoku didn't fight, and I would love to have seen him fight. So, yeah, so that gives me an overall rating of 5. Let me just stop this music. It's loud in my ears. I'm shouting over the mic here. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, that is where I'm concluding it. For the rest of the week, you can get myself and the rest of the panel of the Fighting with Friends giving you the preview for this week's fight card, and it is going to be UFC 314. I'm just going to quickly do that on screen. Bang! There we go. So you can stay tuned for us when we're going to do a preview for this one. Possibly the Wednesday, possibly the Thursday. Most likely going to be a Wednesday because it's separate. So we're not going to be doing another Fight Night card. So we're going to do it separate to the UFC news, which we can catch on the Thursday, as well as a Fight Night preview. One Championships Friday fights 104 is taking place on Friday, so we're going to be doing a preview for that. And then also stay tuned for potential live for UFC 314. We are most likely going to do another live watch along for this one, so stay tuned for that. And then, like I said, stay safe, stay blessed, like, share, and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Cheers.